all county offices will be closed Friday, March the 30th through Monday, April the 2nd in observance of Good Friday and Cesar Chavez holiday. All county offices will reopen on Tuesday, April the 3rd.
Commissioner Andrew Haggerty would like to invite you to his weekly breakfast meeting that takes place every Wednesday at 7:30 a.m. at Danny's Diner, located at 4690 Trans Mountain Road. Every week he has a different speaker who will be discussing topics of interest for the community. So if you live in the Northeast, West Side, or anywhere else in the county, come and join us for the breakfast meeting.
Don't wait in line, pay online. Visit the Financial Recovery Division website at http://www.epcounty.com/budget/financialrecovery.htm to make your payments online or find out more about our kiosk locations. We now accept payments on misdemeanor, felony, and justice of the peace cases.
You can now watch Commissioners Court meetings on YouTube. Go to youtube.com and search for El Paso County Commissioners or El Paso County, Texas. Subscribe to our channels to see our latest videos.
Did you know that you can save money on the cost of your medications? And doing so is easy. In 2015, the County of El Paso launched a prescription discount card program from coast to coast. The cards are available to all El Paso County residents free of charge and everyone qualifies. You can pick up a card at any county office location, Walgreens, Walmart, CVS, or Target pharmacies, or simply print the card at www.coastrx.com. Happy savings!
Did you know the County of El Paso's Purchasing Department is responsible for ensuring that all items and services needed by various county departments are purchased in the manner required by the state of Texas? Whether through formal sealed bids or smaller dollar quotations, the county purchasing team is dedicated to finding the best contracting return on your taxpayer dollars. Additionally, the Purchasing Department is responsible for the tracking of inventory within the county and properly disposing surplus through public auctions. For questions about how to become a vendor and compete for county contracts, or to learn more about public auctions, please contact us at telephone number 915-546-2048.
The 346 District Court Judge Angie Juarez Barril started the El Paso Veterans Treatment Court program in 2012 for veterans and active service members that have been arrested and charged with a felony or misdemeanor criminal offense. To be considered for the specialty court, the statutory criteria includes be a veteran or current member of the United States Armed Forces, including a member of the Reserves, National Guard, or State Guard, and suffer from a brain injury, mental illness, or mental disorder, including PTSD, or be a victim of military sexual trauma, all occurring or resulting from military service. Call Sylvia Serna, Veterans Program Director, at 915-546-2119, or email her at sserna@epcounty.com for any information.
Did you know that the County of El Paso's fixed asset control and inventory disposal is handled through the purchasing department? Throughout the course of each business year, the county holds live public auctions to dispose of aged equipment, vehicles, furniture, and other items that are no longer needed. To find out about upcoming auctions or to learn more about the county's inventory disposal process, contact the purchasing department at telephone number 915-546-2048.
You guys can go ahead and finish and then go sit down. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Good morning to this very fine Thursday. We want to welcome all of you this morning to the Budget Process Kickoff 2019 Kickoff Meeting. Whenever I say 2019, it just throws me for a loop because I cannot believe we're already in 2019. So this morning, if you haven't signed up, please do sign up. This will count towards your training hours. If you're listening in, thank you so much for joining us and for listening in, but you will not get training hours, so I'm sorry about that. This morning we have such a great presentation lined up for you guys. We're going to be going over various very interesting topics. I'm going to go ahead. This is a very open discussion meeting, so if you guys have any questions, please go ahead and raise your hand at any point throughout the presentation, and Ms. Bede will go ahead and walk to you and take you a mic so that not only us here in the audience can hear you, but also those listening in. So please wait until she gets to you to start asking your question. So very quickly, we are going to we're going to hear today from our Human Resources Department as well to go over some of the personnel requirements for 2019, and after that, we'll be hearing from back to the budget office over the operating parts of it. So on February 22nd, we met, our office along with the county auditor's office and the chief administrator, we met with the court to go over where our financials stood at this point. We gave them a quick update of where we ended last year, how we're doing this year, and how we expect to end 2018. So some of the things that we're going to do this year is going into the budget process. We're going to make sure that we already include in the first presentation that we give to the court in July, we're already going to include some of the contractual obligations that we have. So for example, we already know that some rates are going up on our utility accounts. And additionally, the court is supporting the continuation of our STEP program. So we're going to make sure we have that funded already on the front end. We're March 2nd, which is tomorrow, you're going to be getting an email from each one of your analysts, which I will introduce or will be introduced later on in the presentation. You're going to receive an email from them that's going to include the memo of where we're at right now. The memo is going to include some key dates. We're also going to include a budget process calendar, which we'll go over a little bit later on throughout the presentation. And it's going to include 3 sets of instructions. One of them is going to be how you can export or download from Munis. This is the second year that we're doing this, but we still want to include it in the event that you have to go back. It's going to include how to submit your budget through Munis. It's going to include how to download or export your current year budget and how to download or export from Munis your current staffing table. So if you guys have any questions at any point through anything that gets sent to you, please go ahead and reach out to our office and we'll be ready to assist you. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to HR so they can go over the staffing request and allowance part of the budget process.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Elsie. I'm with the HR office, and we're, like Gabby said, it's budget kickoff. Everybody's like, is it getting earlier and earlier every year? The reason is because there's so much process, there's so much stuff that we're having to be accountable for. You can't hear me. I think everybody could hear me, right? As long as you hear the microphone. Okay. Sorry, I forget I'm on TV. So the processes start changing a little bit, the commissioners are asking for a little bit more accountability. You know, how are we getting there? Why are we requesting positions? So that's the reason we're starting earlier every year. What I want to do first is I do want to introduce my team here. This is the HR team. I've got Jesus, Angie, and Claudia, and they will be assisting me as we're going through the budget process, through your requests. They are going to be the faces that you will be seeing out there. Thank you, guys. We're going to go ahead and get started. We kind of do a little bit of development, plus also Jesus said he wanted to do the presentation, so I'm going to turn it over to him. I was like, I'm good with that, go ahead. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to him. Thank you all.
Good morning. Okay. So if your department should have FY19 requests such as new positions, reclassification of positions, reorganizations, or allowances, the first step is to go ahead and schedule a meeting with HR. And we'll go ahead and meet with departments and discuss and go over the request. After we meet with all the departments, then we're going to analyze all the information that we've gathered from that meeting. And then a determination is going to be made by HR whether the request can be supported prior to sending out the staffing adjustment request forms to eligible departments. Some important dates, they're going to be coming pretty quick and pretty fast, and it's important to adhere to those timelines. The first key date is March 9th, and that is to send a request for the initial meeting with HR. The next date is the week of March 12th through the 16th, which we're going to be having those meetings with the departments that are requesting those items. Then on March 29th, we're going to be submitting the SAR request forms to those eligible departments. Please note that a performance metrics will be included on this SAR request and must be submitted with that SAR request. Again, to schedule the meeting by March 9th, you can go ahead and contact me directly via email, or you can also call me at my phone, which is 546-2218, extension 4568. Some staffing request expectations. SAR requests must have clear performance metrics that align with the county's strategic plans and goals that have been set forth by Commissioners Court. Ideally, those goals will align with those goals are financially sound government, strong economic development, professional, effective county organization, and vibrant community. Those metrics associated with the request must be tracked by the department and reported on a quarterly basis for the FY19 and the FY20 fiscal years on the staffing justification forms. Our requests with no clear and defined performance metrics will either not be supported or be kicked back for clarification. A good performance metric will have measurable activities and a specific time frame to accomplish those activities. And when developing those metrics and the requests, keep in mind kind of like the SMART goals terminology, that they're specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely, to assist you in developing those metrics with the staffing request. Now, if you need assistance in developing those kind of metrics with your request, we can assist you with that. And it can also be a team effort between HR and budget to assist you in developing those items. Some other factors to consider in your requests and developing your metrics are filling the position, on-the-job training, as well as any training certification and licensures if applicable. To give you an example, is like if you're the tax office and you get approved for an investigator position, you want to consider filling the position. It may take 30 to 60 days to fill the position, so you want to include that as part of your timelines. And then it may take another 90 days for on-the-job training for that individual to be fully performing their duties. Maybe another additional 30 days to get a TCOL license. That way they can go ahead and fully execute their duties. So that's kind of like 5 months right there, 5 to 6 months you'll have to include as part of your metrics. That way you don't get unrealistic with the goals, if you don't include those factors. Now, to give you an example of a SAR request language without metrics is one right here. Requesting one administrative specialist due to increased workload. Not have any metric language associated with that. Now we have one using an example with no metrics. Due to legislative change, SB, so on and so forth, required online filings have increased by 47%. As a result, the department is requesting one admin specialist to maintain the workload. Just note that during this quarterly checks, which are the staffing justification forms, that percentage should be watched and reported to ensure staff is meeting that goal, that 47% increase. I'll go ahead and pass it on to Elsie. She's going to go over a little bit more about auto allowances.
Good morning again, everybody. I'm just going to hit a little bit. Did anybody have any questions regarding what Jesus just went over? Because we started it last year, and it's just being more enforced this year. So I know, like, even when we're asking for the justification forms, we're still getting justification forms we're going through, and we're not receiving the metrics we're supposed to be receiving. So some of you have been getting those emails back from us. So just be aware of that is something that is really what the court is looking at this year. We're really looking at what you're requesting, why are you requesting it, and making sure that you're meeting those metrics. So no questions on that at this time? Hold on just a second. Sorry, they're going to give you get to stand up and talk now, Tom.
Will this slideshow be provided for everyone else after the presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay. So I just want to hit on the auto allowances because, again, auto allowances is something that's a little bit new this year. In the past, everybody's just kind of been, this is the auto allowance, and they're processing the same auto allowances. This year, what we're asking is if you have auto allowance already tied to your staff, please make sure that they are tracking, because come October, or in a few months from now, before October, we're going to be asking for those actual logs because we're going to be auditing them. So please make sure you're tracking those. I want to give kudos right now to Community Services because for 2 years now, they have been on track with this and have been submitting them on a yearly basis. So they are a very good example. We've got logs that we can provide to you. So you want your team actually keeping track of the mileage that they're actually doing. It's not going to go forward saying every year you're still going to continue to get this amount. It's not saying we're taking anything away. It's just saying that we're wanting to track and see is it true miles that we are actually paying on. And some of the examples here that we're looking for are just like an employee. What I'd say is a good example is just even keeping a little notebook in your car, and then just docking the odometer each time you're leaving. Where and to, what are you going? What is the service you're providing? And then just tracking that for the purpose of when we ask for that record, we're going to be needing that. We do have logs out there again available that you can look at, that you can actually use as well. We are coming up with, there's going to be a policy, we're hoping in March that we'll be able to process that. So any questions on the auto allowance? No questions? Is it too early?
That's for people who use the county vehicle. Good morning. Those are for employees who use their personal vehicles to conduct county business, correct?
That is correct. And then we have Hopeton, who's also, because we have a fleet out there that is available to employees if they're doing only once in a while that they're having to travel. There are vehicles out there that employees are able to use that are county vehicles. So just keep that in mind, okay? No questions on that? Yes, sir.
Just to confirm.
Just to confirm, for people who are departments that have existing travel allowances, we don't need to, other than keeping a record, we don't need to contact HR as part of the budget process now, but we need to have the record going forward to submit in October.
You're talking about travel or car allowance?
Sorry, car allowances.
Car allowances, yes, they still need to. That's what will be tracked, and that's what's going to be submitted. So let's say, for example, this year you have auto allowance of, say, $1,000 for employees. But you know that coming up in the new year, there's going to be additional maybe home visits that need to be because of metrics you're having to keep track of. So you're going to be requesting that through the budget, but we are going on the HR side of it. You will be submitting those logs saying this is how many miles they traveled this year. We foresee that it will be going up next year, so that way we don't drop it down to what that may be. Does that make sense?
I follow that part, but if we think we're good on our current level, do we need to make any request at this point for existing car allowances, or simply have the logs for October?
That will be on budget. They'll still have to make the request that they need that current budget, right?
So I think what Bill is asking, if you have a current budget allowance, current auto allowance right now, you don't have to submit anything through the budget process because you're not going to change it. You're not requesting an increase. You're not requesting a decrease. You have your current auto allowance right now. What HR is asking is that even though you have a current one or you're going to ask for one, you need to start keeping a log. Was that your question, Bill? Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? Okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Jesus, and he's just going to hit on some dates that are some key dates to keep track of, okay? Thank you.
All right, so some key dates in March 2018. March 9th, again, you'll submit the requests for the initial meeting. March 12th through 16th, we'll be meeting with the departments for these requests. March 29th, we'll send those SAR forms to eligible departments to include the appeal date, which will be April 4th if you're approved for the request. April 2018, April 5th, appeal meetings with the Chief HR Officer. April 6th, you'll send the SAR forms, post-appeals. We'll send the SAR forms out to those post-appeals to those departments. April 13th, all the SAR request forms are due. This is a really critical key date. April 13th, make sure all the SAR requests are turned in on that date. April 30th, we'll begin our on-site analysis for those approved departments. So we'll go ahead and start analyzing for those requests. June 2018, June 29th, on that date, we'll be sending notices to departments on the determination of their staffing request, whether approved or denied, to include the appeal date. And in July 3rd, the departments whose SAR requests were not approved must appeal by this date to the Chief Administrator. That's another key important date right there. Then on July 16th, we'll send out the final notices to those that have been approved and or denied to those departments who appealed in preparation for the budget hearings. Any other questions in regards to staffing requests? All right. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over back to Gabby.
Final call for any personnel-related questions. If not, we're moving on to the budget, and no more personal questions will be allowed. I'm just kidding. Okay, so now it's my pleasure to go ahead and introduce the budget team. We have Mr. Frank Rios, who is our budget analyst senior. We have Danielle Chavez, who is our budget analyst intermediate, Mackenzie McLaughlin, who is our another budget analyst intermediate, and Ms. Yvonne Aranda, who is another budget analyst intermediate. And so you'll be able, if you guys can stay standing up right now. Of course, we have Mr. Wally Hartgrove, who couldn't be here with us today, who is our executive director. I'm Gabby Fedro, the deputy budget officer. And we have Berenice Badillas, who is assisting us, our executive assistant, and who is also assisting us in getting the microphones to you guys when you have a question. So if you want to take a moment and look for your department here, we do have it color-coded this year. So if you ever wondered who Frank was, here he is, Danielle, Mackenzie, and Yvonne. So now, hopefully, sometimes we call each other on the phone, and we've talked to each other for years over the phone, and we can be walking right by each other in the hallway, and we wouldn't even know. So now you guys can get their pretty faces to their names. So if you guys have any questions, of course, you can always dial our main line, which is the 546-2262, or you guys can dial their direct extensions if you have a question. Thank you so much, you guys. So now we're going to head on over to the operating side of the requests, and I'll hand it over to Mr. Rios.
Thank you, Gabby. Good morning. All right, personnel. Can everybody hear me all right? Yeah? All right. Personnel expenditures. For this one, we're just going to ask that departments enter their amended budget. Please enter the fiscal year 2018 amended budget as your fiscal year 2019 request. Our department will then adjust for any step, cost of living adjustment, or any granted position changes. Please refer to the instructions that HR will provide for any further questions on personnel requests. Operating equipment.
Before he moves on to the operating expenses, one thing that we do want to point out to all of you is please do not submit anything related personnel as an attachment on Munis, because we're not going to send that over to them. So if you are going to have any personnel requests, or you're writing some explanation in there, we need you to send that directly to Elsie and her team that was presented today. And as Frank was mentioning, the amounts that are there, a lot of times we get this question where, oh no, I did the math and that's not enough to cover based on what the staffing table is at. Please keep in mind that you don't have to worry about the budget for your personnel. We all are going to get paid. Adjustments have to be made throughout the year, and at the point where we're starting right now, we haven't yet submitted or processed the COLA and STEP that was reserved or that Commissioner's Court approved for fiscal year 18, it's not in your budget yet. It will be there within the next month, but by the time we open the projection, we're still going to have those old numbers in there. So please do not freak out that you think your budget is not enough. It will be enough. We will make sure that every employee is covered and paid. And just one more reminder, please do not submit any of your personnel requests through Munis.
All right, operating expenses under your operating equipment 60311 account. These funds are intended to allow your department equipment inventory to be replaced within a 12-year cycle. The purchase of new or non-replacement items is not recommended, however, it is allowed. Maintenance technology contracts. Please include all maintenance agreements or contracts that you guys currently pay for, or any new expenses or contracts increases that you anticipate in fiscal year 2019. For example, if you're aware that a company that provides maintenance on your copy machine is going to raise your prices by $5 a month, please include an increase for $60 for the whole year in that line item.
So these are just two of the accounts that some of you may have in your operating. So we just wanted to make a little bit more focus on those two. Of course, you're still going to review every other account that you have in there. If you're noticing that, copy paper, toner, your supplies, or you're in need of buying different types of folders that they don't make anymore, or you were used to buying folders that came to $10 a box, and now every vendor, has gone up to $15. all those type of analysis. I mean, we still ask you as your department, since you are the expert in your department, what is it that you need and what adjustments need to be made in there. So as Frank was mentioning, you know, your assistance or your help in assisting us on contract changes, on space changes that are going to happen. If you're going to move cubicles from here to there, you know, please make sure you reach out to our ITD department so that they can go in and say, you know what, we're going to need an additional port here, so to be able to support that extra phone that you're going to get, or whatever it might be. We do ask that you guys, oh, sorry. It's my health alarm. I'm supposed to take a break right now. So whenever you guys have any type of any change that you as the expert in your department knows and it's going to affect your budget in a way, in any type of way, please make sure you include that in there as well. And as Frank was mentioning, the operating equipment, the 600-311, that was given a few years ago based on the inventory that you had to be able to help you with that replacement of any item that is below $5,000, with the exception of the ITD equipment, or the computers, better yet, since we are in that replacement, we have that replacement plan, or our ITD department has that replacement plan. However, just as a matter of information, in the next coming year, maybe 2 years for the year 2020, we are working with our purchasing department to make sure we get our inventories right where they should be again, so that we can do this allocation again.
All right, any revenue changes? We're asking that if you guys are aware of any revenue changes that may affect the revenue stream that your department receives, if you all could please notify the county auditor's department, specifically the Revenue Estimation Analysis Reporting Division at extension 5225. And these may be changes to fees, increases, or decreases that we're aware of any changes. This year we plan for special revenue accounts. We plan on adding a contingency account to all special revenue accounts if possible. There may be some special revenue accounts that only have sufficient funds to cover their current yearly expenditures. So obviously those wouldn't have a contingency account.
So if you guys have any questions on any of your special revenue accounts, please feel free to reach out to us or to reach out to the county auditor's office. We'll be more than happy to assist you with any of that. But just as Mr. Rios was saying, those revenue changes are pertaining to both general fund and special revenue accounts. Any changes that you guys see coming up, whether it's, I don't know, a fee change that's going to happen, or you're entering a new contract that's going to have a reimbursement, or it's going to pay us an additional fee, or anything that may affect any of your regular, if you are a revenue generating department, that's going to affect any of that revenue you receive, or anything in your special revenue account, please reach out to either us or the county auditor's office in the division that Mr. Rios mentioned.
Departmental submittals, we're going to be having a couple work sessions at the end of March. We don't have the date set in stone, but we'll send an email letting you guys know when we will have these work sessions. In these work sessions, we'll assist departments in submitting their budget request. We just ask that you please come prepared to these sessions, bring any documentation to justify your request for next year. Like I said, we'll be sending an email containing the date, time, and location of these sessions. For grants, if your office is planning on applying for a new grant or reapplying for an existing grant, we highly encourage you all to reach out to our grants division. We have these resources available for you guys. Please reach out to us. We want to help as much as possible to ensure you guys get the grant. And we highly recommend that you contact us at the beginning of the process. And you could reach them at extension 5280. Grant matches.
If it is a grant and you're asking for positions, please reach out to the HR also so that we can match your positions up to what our county paid positions are. So that way we don't have them off step or offline of what our county current positions are. Thank you.
Thank you.
And as a follow-up to what Elsie just mentioned, we get this question also, so I just want to let you all know at the front end, if you have any grant positions, we work very closely with the county auditor's office to make sure that when a grant is being applied for, that we add an additional percentage so that we could cover the COLA and the STEP in case it's granted. But in the event that we have those grants where we know it's not going to cover it, please note that those employees under the grant will get their STEP and their COLA covered through the general fund.
Thank you. Any grant matches? If you have been awarded or potentially will be awarded any grants that require like-kind or cash matches, please include this as part of your request. Also, any other expenses that aren't covered by the grant. For example, let's say, I don't know, a department receives a vehicle as a part of a grant, but they don't receive the operating expenses needed for the vehicle, like fuel or maintenance on the vehicle. Please include these and please justify these requests.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on anything we've covered so far? Okay. So now to the fun part. Let's see. How does this calendar look? So this is the calendar that we were talking about that is going to okay, that's going to be included as part of the email that we sent out tomorrow. This is going to be more of a holistic view as to what's happening throughout the year. As you all know, on January 30th, we sent out the CIP FY 2019 documents to all of you. The deadline was yesterday, so I hope that we received everybody's CIP request for fiscal year 19. So the legend, and let me get all the way to the bottom for that. So the legend, as you're reading this, it's going to be all the circles are budget dates. Anything that's related to when we open the system, when documents are, what the deadline is for us to receive your documents, when budget hearings are going to start, etc. All of that you'll see in the circle. The star relates, and there's only one star in this whole calendar, that relates to CIP fiscal year 18 awards that were given last year. This is the deadline for all of your awards to be, whether it was a bid or anything, for it to be approved by the court. So we can go ahead and close out that process and continue with fiscal year 19. Everything that has the upside down triangle, those are the FY19 CIP dates. So this is where we'll let you know, if you review it, you'll be able to see where are we at that point. We do have the explanations in the middle column where you can see where we're at with that. The square is when the budget process begins. I should have it on today's date, March 1st, yes. And we have the ending date on August 27th, which is when we are going to be adopting the FY19 budget. Please note, FY19 fiscal year does not start until October 1st, but that is when the budget is going to be adopted. Then the Pentagon figure, those are all the HR dates. So Jesus went over some of those dates, and please remember we are going to have this PowerPoint presentation out on the intranet. We will let you all know where it is, so you guys can always go back and refer to them. We've covered most of the dates here. There may be one here and there that we probably missed, but we do have, for the majority of those important dates, outlined here. If anything were to happen, if any change were to happen to these dates, we will be sending updates to the whole county so that you guys know what's changed, what's happening, or what is going on at that point. So another thing that I do want to point out on this calendar is that starting on or around the end of July, we are going to have our departmental presentations to the court. That's going to include any of those departments that meet the financial criteria that we've set forth, which is the 4%, if your budget changes, whether it's up or down by 4% or more, you would be presenting to the court. If it changes by 5,000 up or down, you will also be presenting to the court. And please note that we will be, and by we, our analysts, will be going back, since we started this threshold, which was in fiscal year 16, we will be going back to those years as well and seeing how your departments have changed. Have they been going up by 2.5, by 1.5, and a cumulative, it's already been way more than our threshold. We will be reaching out to you guys as well. Sometimes some of those changes pertain to things that are beyond our control. It might have been a utility change. It might have been a personnel change. It might have been a new project that started, whatever it may be. So we will be having that dialogue with you guys as well. There may be a possibility that you may present, and there may be a possibility that you may not. Additionally to that, we will be providing you, as a department, we'll be providing you with the template of how we're going to present to the court. Danielle Chavez has been working on this alongside the chief administrator, and it's going to be a very exciting template. It's going to be very different than what we've done in the past. It's going to include some of your expenditures that we've had, or that we've had in the past and up to date. And it's also going to include performance measures, and it's going to include some graphs. So our analysts will be working very closely with you guys. If you guys are a department that will be presenting, we will be working with you guys and guiding you through that template so that you guys can be ready for those dates. Additionally, even if you do not meet the criteria that has been set forth, there may be some possibility that you may just be invited to come present. So if you do fall under one of those departments, again, just like everybody else, we will be here to assist you all with that, and including the template. One of the other things that I do want to mention is during the month of March, we will be having a 5-month meeting with you individually. They are not mandatory, but they are highly encouraged. Our analysts will be going to your office to kind of show you where we are in these first 5 months. It's going to be a very similar discussion as to what the template for July, the end of July, is going to hold. They'll be very, very similar. But they're going to be meeting with you guys, kind of going over where you stand right now, if there's any challenges that you guys are facing, so that we can discuss, so that we can keep in mind. Additionally, if you were awarded during fiscal year 18, if you were awarded any funding for a special project, we're going to be asking you guys about that as well. What's the process, how it's going, if it hasn't started, why hasn't it started, etc., because we will be giving a follow-up to the court on any of those special projects. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on this calendar? And once again, this will be included in the email that we send out tomorrow to all of you. Did I hear Gabby? No? Okay. I'm hearing my name. Yeah? Oh. Okay, so just to go ahead and close this out, does anybody have any questions? It could be on anything related here. Okay, give us one quick question. Go.
It's really more of a statement. Many of you might already be in a bid or an RFP process with us for some of your fiscal year 18 items. If you are, please know that I have a tracking mechanism in place for these, and we are working with Wally on anything that looks like it might go past the March date, because some RFPs are fairly complex and you can't really hit a mark when you start the process, because we have to deal with vendors. So if you feel that you are behind on any project that is coming through us, please contact me immediately and I'll have a status for you. Most of you that are used to dealing with me get statuses regularly, but I did want you to know that we're working very closely with budget on this.
Thank you, Deb. That's our purchasing agent. One more thing that I do want to point out before we go ahead and finalize this, since there's no other questions. One of the things we forgot to mention earlier on the presentation. If you request new personnel through the Human Resources Department, we are going to be working with them in a sort of a different process. So in the past, you guys have been filling out, and I can't remember that Excel worksheet name. The budget spreadsheet addendum? Well, one of the forms, the one where you guys can include what operating is going to be tied to this new position. So if you're requesting this new position, is it going to need a phone? Is it going to need a computer? Whatever type of supplies that are needed or operating needs for this new personnel, we used to send both of those together. This year, we are going to change that a little bit. So your new, as you guys start meeting with HR or sending your request to HR, they will be keeping you up to date. However, that operating side of it, We're going to work with you once HR is done doing all of their review. Once they've gone through everything, they've been in contact with you, talking back and forth, and once they have their recommendation, they're going to send us those recommendations, and our analysts will be meeting with you so we can go over those operating needs. We want to make sure that we cover every single angle of that new position because it's for everybody's benefit that all those positions be successful. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions? Okay, well, this concludes our budget process kickoff for fiscal year 2019. We're very, very excited. It's very exciting. I hope you guys are excited as we are. So if you guys have any other questions, I mean, sometimes you didn't want to say it out loud, but our analysts and HR are going to be here for a little bit longer in case you guys want to come up and introduce yourselves, in case you guys haven't met face-to-face before, or ask any of those questions that came up that you just thought of as soon as I put down the microphone. Thank you all so much, and we look forward to a very successful budget process. Thank you. And please remember to sign in so you guys can get your credit.